So I hired Kay. She came on board. We did a poll in May of '08. We were losing by 30 points. So Kay actually was pretty excited, and she was like, hey, this is great. I thought we'd be losing by 50. So we went to Denver. I can't stand political consultants, because we went to Denver, and we said, okay, well, how do we crawl out of this hole? And they said, get $100,000, buy 10 postcards, and send everyone 10 postcards with bullet points. And Kay looked at me and she said, honey bunch, I don't think we're going to win on effing postcards. So then we had a very bold strategy. We found 20,000 different addresses, and me and Kay, we were going to go to every address, knock on that door, and ask them to vote for me. So we started at the beginning of June. We went all the way through mid-September. Now, of course, I got to tell you the funniest story. It was mid-July in Eagle. It was hot as hell. I was sweating like crazy. I'm in this cul-de-sac. I've got a clipboard. I can barely think because my mind's just in an oven. And there's this dude sitting on a lawn chair on his driveway. He's got a Coors Light. He's got a gun rack in his garage, 2 ATVs, bandana. He's just chilling. And I'm like, okay, this is a Republican. This is going to be And he's very bitter. So, and I've got my clipboard, and it says Democrat. So I'm like, okay, all right, well, I was like, I'll still go get his vote. So I walk towards him. He puts his hand up. He says, stop, stop. He says, are you a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon? I said, actually, I'm a Muslim. And he said, well, I've never heard from a Muslim before. And he said, well, why don't you come over? Let's talk. And so then we talked for 10 minutes. I told him about fiscal conservatism and Ronald Reagan and good Republican fiscal values. So then he looked at me kind of confused, and he said, so do you want me to convert? And then I got confused, because he's a Christian Democrat. So I said, do you want to convert to Islam or to Republican? And I said, because Islam, you just have to say an Arabic prayer, but Republican, I'll have to pick you up tomorrow and take you to the county office. And this is just awful. Mark Levin and Ann Coulter need to find this out. Do you realize it's easier to become a Muslim than it is to become a Republican in this country? In 10 years, these Muslims are going to be ruining America. So, anyways, I said, you don't have to convert to anything. I just want your vote. And he said, anyone who's going to come out in 90-degree weather and shake my hand, I'm going to vote for them. So we got his vote. And that was mid-September. We started some street corners at the end of September, and then we got some polling information in early October, on October 1st. We were down by 30 in May of '08. After 20,000 doors on October 1st, we were up by 4. And we were cruising to victory because absentee ballots were going to go out on the 10th of October. 70% of the district was going to vote absentee. We were cruising to victory. And then on October 7th, John McCain went out and said, you know, I think we as Republicans need to give taxpayer money to a bunch of corporations that failed. Then absentee ballots went out right after that. We did another poll on October 11th. We were down by 12. We had a full 16-point swing. I was depressed. I was just so severely depressed. I couldn't get out of bed. I was just paralyzed. And I just said, you know what, we tried, we did 20,000 doors, it still didn't work. God just hates me. It's probably because I'm Muslim, I don't know. So, just kidding, Mom. So I was in bed paralyzed. I got my phone rang, it was my dad. Baby, I really want you to get out of bed, you know. These polls are stupid, they're just stupid, baby. And I was like, Dad, go away, you don't know anything. Then the phone rang a second time, and it was Mom. Baby, I love you, and this district loves you. No, Mom, I'm down by 12, baby. And then the phone rang a third time. It was my campaign manager. And I love it because Katie likes to say the F word, but she always calls me Honey Bunch. So I pick up the phone, and she goes, Honey Bunch, if you don't get out of that effing bed, I'm going to come over there right now. I hung up the phone, I put on my pants, I put on my shirt, and I stood outside my door because honestly, I'm afraid of Kay. And I love her, but I'm afraid of ever. And so then Kay drove up to my house. She just grabs my shirt. She throws me into her car. It was like an action movie. It was like one of the pretty girls being kidnapped by the mean guy with the chainsaw, except she was the guy with the chainsaw. I was in the car, and I was like, Kay, where are you taking me? So she drives me to an intersection in Avon, the busiest intersection. She pulls out this gigantic red Hasan sign. She puts me on this intersection. She gives me this sign, and she grabs my shirt, and she said, Honey Bunch, you work too hard to take no for an answer. And she said, and I'm going to stand here. She got a red Hasan sign out too. And she said, we're both going to stand here all day. And if you want me to stand with you on more days, that's fine. But you're going to stand, and you're going to show this district that you're not taking no for an answer. So then after that, for the next 20 days, I stood for 12 hours every day on every street corner in House District 56. And I want you to clap for Kay, because that's the kind of campaign that she's the best campaign manager in the world. So election day, I stood on a street corner in Breckenridge, got home to Beaver Creek. I was exhausted. My whole family came. And actually, I wanted to introduce one of them. My sister, Dr. Ali Hasan, actually moved here last year to help me. She registered to vote. We're proud to have her as a fellow Eagle Countian now. So she stood on a street corner in Avon on election day with a big Hasan sign. And now, Vale Daily was doing exit polling, and according to their exit polling, we were winning. So I went to the house. I was sorry, Don. That's what they told us. So I was at home. Kay called us. We won Summit with 45%, which is actually very good for a Republican. We almost won Lake with 45%. We were winning Eagle. We knew that, but we weren't winning it enough, and we knew we weren't going to win. So then I just stood in the house. I was a little bummed out, and my mother put her coat on. I'm telling you this because my mother's my best friend and my hero. So Mom puts her coat on and she says, baby, you got to come to the Eagle County headquarters. I said, Mom, I'm not going. I said, if I go, everyone's going to apologize to me, and I don't want to be apologized to. I'm too proud. I knocked on a lot of doors. I stood on a lot of street corners. The last thing I want is someone to say I'm sorry. And then like Kay, my mom, tough women run my life, and they grabbed my shirt to engage me. And she grabbed my shirt, and she said, baby, I don't normally tell you what to do, but I'm forcing you to come tonight because there's a lot of people who knocked on doors. There's a lot of people who made phone calls, and they weren't being paid. They did it because they believe in you, and they love you, and you have to go there and thank them tonight. So then I put on my coat. We went to headquarters. Randy was crying. Buddy was crying. There's two activists in Eagle County who I think are our offensive linemen. They're our best activists. One couldn't be here tonight. That's Donna Spinelli. Her mother recently passed. But I want to let you know she's our best activist. Our other best activist is Uncle Pete. And I heard that, and I love you, and I heard that Uncle Pete and Donna were crying so much they had to leave early. So it's just Randy, Buddy, a couple other activists. Everyone's crying. Now, Michael Cassiopo was there. He was the only activist that wasn't crying. He was standing at the television, arms crossed, going, oh, we're going to hell. We're going to... Randy, I'm going to move to Afghanistan. We're going to... So I couldn't hear a damn thing Obama said, because Randy, Cassiopo was just looking up travel agents for Afghanistan. But then something great happened. Ellen, who was from the RNC, was running the office. She got a phone call. It was around midnight or so. And she yelled and she said, guys, Ali Hasan won Eagle County. At least one of our candidates won Eagle. So then we all grabbed a beer. We all got into a little circle. We're at Eagle County headquarters. It was snowing like a blizzard. And it was amazing because I don't feel bad about our party. Because there were 30 cell phones, all with drained batteries, that everyone was using to call people to vote Republican. There were all these muddy footprints of people who were walking in and out who believed in our party. And you looked at those footprints and you looked at those cell phones. None of it was done in vain. Because at least one of us won Eagle. So it wasn't done in vain.